Today I'm walking through the 3 types of questions that you're going to face in a fit interview. This is our high-level fit interview guide, how to prep, what to expect, what the issues are, where the pitfalls are. It's going to be a really dynamic explanation at a high level. And our ultimate goal is to impart to you the importance of preparing for the fit, otherwise known as the behavioral interview, for consulting and other similar roles. Today, I'm going to talk through our fit interview guide. There are a lot of different pieces of the fit interview, otherwise known as behavioral interviews. And the consulting fit interview is one of the most challenging behavioral interviews you will ever experience in your life. Being prepared for it will help you significantly just be able to share your stories, both in consulting and outside. So I'm going to dive in. First of all, when you are expected to share about your stories inside a consulting fit interview, there are a few things that are super important to know. Number one, your fit interview is going to be a super tiny piece of your early interview process. In fact, it might feel a little bit like the firms are not that interested in getting to know you. The reality is that they look for competence first and then fit second. So the first round of interviews is largely focused on case interviews, and then there are a few fit questions. The second round is more heavily weighted toward the fit questions. Secondly, consultants have an internal timer. It must go back to the days when we were paid by the hour. Most consultants are not on an hourly wage anymore. They have a per project wage, or they have a salary, and they still have to quantify how many hours they're working for things like just having the firms keep an eye on making sure they're not working too much. But overall, that kind of total number of minutes that you speak is going to be super important to the consultant. 2 minutes for walk me through your resume, 1 minute for everything else. When we're doing our training, one of the things that we're really trying to impart is speed and clarity inside the conversation. There are 3 main types of fit interview questions. The first type are direct questions. These questions include things like, walk me through your resume. Why do you want to go into consulting? Why do you want to work for this firm? Why Deloitte, or why Bain, or why McKinsey? All of those key questions are direct questions that you can fully anticipate and prepare answers for. The second type are story questions. These are questions that usually begin with, tell me about a time when. Tell me about a time when you had a conflict with a teammate and how you resolved it. Tell me about a time when you managed a difficult client. Tell me about a time when. They're looking for stories and examples that illustrate the character that you'll bring to the job. And the third type are tricky questions. These questions are meant to probe into negative aspects of who you are. These questions include, what is your greatest weakness? Tell me about a time that you failed. They are really specifically about difficult situations that are challenging to answer, because you know that the answer is both needed to make you be authentic, but also make you look not too terrible. So I'm going to talk about some of those specific types as we go through the conversation today. Now, first of all, the direct fit interview questions. These are the questions that someone is expecting you to answer with fluidity, with clarity, with very short amounts of time. They're expecting that these are the kind of softball tosses for you, right? I throw something underhand. It's super easy for you to take a swing at it and make sure that it works. So these questions include, walk me through your resume. Why do you want to work for my company? Why do you want to do this particular job? And so I'm going to walk through the details of some of those. Walk me through your resume is a linear story. It tells from the beginning to the end how you got to where you are today. And the linear story needs to fit within 2 minutes. We have more details about how to do that in both the fit interview guide that's on our website and also in our very specific fit interview videos. In addition, why the firm? Why the firm is meant to be a retelling of experiences that you've had about things that are incredible inside the company. So things like, why do you want to do this job? Why you came on the journey, how you explain a moment of crystal clear thinking that brought you to why here. And the same thing is true for why do you want to do this particular job? Maybe it was a professor or a friend or a mentor who explained to you why you might be a good fit for the field of consulting. Maybe it's a project that you worked on. Tell me a story, but tell it in a way that is prepared, polished, and super ready to go. In particular, the reason that it needs to be prepared and polished is so that you can come across as clear, direct, and enthusiastic.
We'll be right back after this quick message.
Did you know that the fit portion of the interview makes up 50% of your final interview score at top consulting firms? If you've spent all your time preparing for the case interview, and haven't put together clear, concise, and compelling fit stories, it's time to start today. We're here to help. Join us for the Fit Interview Intensive on Saturday, August 14th from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern. In this fast-paced, interactive, 3-hour intensive, we'll break down the 3 main types of fit questions that you'll see and help you prepare stories for each one. You can learn more and grab your seat via the link in the show notes.
Now, fit interview story questions. There are 15 stories that we recommend you preparing for your fit interview questions. They're meant to answer a variety of story-like questions, and it's optimal if you don't have only answers prepared, but also different experiences prepared. So we usually in our trainings recommend that you have 2 to 5 each at least of academic stories, times it in a classroom or a professional setting where you're working with a class team. You engaged with conflict issues, data, etc., and solved a problem. The second type are work experiences. These are going to be the most common, which is why it's really important to find a variety of them. Pull from an internship, pull from an externship, pull from your most recent experience, pull from older experiences. Make sure that you highlight different kinds of experiences. And then finally, the third is leadership experiences, times where you were in an extracurricular group, a community-based organization, an advocacy group. How did you change and create dynamism outside of that organization? So here are some examples, right? Tell me about a time when you demonstrated leadership in a team. Tell me about a time when you used data to solve a problem. Tell me about a time when you faced an obstacle on a project and how you overcame it. When those tell me about a time stories come up, you need to have one of those 3 categories of answers, the storytelling, to be prepared to share them. And it's really essential, again, just let me re-impart this to you because I don't want you to miss it, that you have a variety of stories. Overall, I'm going to take a step back and think about 2 things: how you told your stories and how many times you demonstrated the experience that you had. So if you tell your stories in clear, concise fashion, you're going to be able to tell me more stories about more things that you did. My overall impression is then in every environment that you're in, you succeed, which is what I'm looking for. Now, tricky questions. Tricky questions don't always come at the end of the interview. They could come at the beginning or in the middle. But these final set of questions to prepare for are the ones that most often in our session when we ask, what are you most afraid of? People say, these questions, and they list out the different kinds. They're the ones that we just don't enjoy answering. There are examples like, what is your greatest weakness? Or tell me about a professional failure, or explain an obstacle, or tell me about a difficult boss that you've had and how you handled them. All of these are meant to super clearly demonstrate your ability to build trust in a stressful situation. And so when I ask a client, what is your greatest weakness, the business? I'm not asking about them personally. I'm asking them to tell me something that's insightful. That's really what these questions are meant to get at. How do you handle damaging, difficult, challenging information? Ultimately, what are the questions not? These kinds of questions are not meant to illustrate the way that you faced a difficult problem. They're meant to illustrate how you sized up the difficult problem and how you handled to improve upon it. So for example, instead of me hearing about something that you did poorly, I'm not really looking for that. I'm looking for a situation when something didn't go the way that you expected and you resolved or fixed it in a different way. I don't want to make you look bad in the interview. I don't want you to prepare to tell me stories that make you look bad. I want you to talk about your evolutionary process as a professional. Finally, one of the most common questions that we get when people are preparing for the fit interview is, how do you close it? When they ask you, what questions do you have? What do you ask? Well, we recommend that you do ask a few specific questions at the end of the interview. And we have a framework for them. We call it the PSP framework, the positive, specific, and personal framework. What does that mean? It means that you should ask questions that are characterized by positivity, by specificity, and also by personalization. So here are a couple of examples. One is, given the stage that you're currently in, I'm sure there must have been several ups and downs. What advice would you go back and give yourself when you're in my shoes to successfully navigate those? It's positive, it's specific, it's personal. Here's a second one. What is one specific unique aspect of McKinsey's culture that you can only know from working here? It's positive, it's specific, and personal. And Why did you end up choosing the Detroit office? What is one thing that really sets this firm apart from others that makes you happy to work there? Again, positive, specific, and personal. At the end of the day, it's essential that you prepare for the fit interview. In fact, we often run into situations when people are crying to us, talking about how they just are so sad about having prepared for 100 hours for the case interview. And the feedback that they got was case was great, fit was not. The fit interview needs a minimum of 2 hours of preparation. And if you're not super, super strong, you're going to need to put in probably another 10 hours before your final round. It's just something that you have to do to be ready for the conversation that will guide your future career choices. Thank you so much for joining us. Please check out our fit interview guide, our fit interview boot camp on the website, and also our fit interview videos on YouTube. There's a lot of great information there that you can refer to. Thanks again for listening. Thanks so much for listening to this fit interview episode. There's a lot more that we could say about fit interviews, and we do with other resources. You can check out our YouTube channel. You can check out the other guides that we have in writing on our website. And we also have a fit interview boot camp. It's a course that you can take where you can see examples of how we coach specific people through the fit interview process. If you need help with a fit interview, reach out to us. We would love to help with our one-on-one coaching services. Thanks so much for listening. Please review, share, and come back for more.